Well, hello, friends, and welcome to what will most likely be the final Dork Discourse Tuesday here on the channel in the year 2024. Holy smokes, that snuck up on me, as I'm sure it did for the rest of us, as it
Yeah.
always does every year when you realize, wait a second, there's like 2 weeks left, and then it's a whole brand spanking new year.
Yeah,
But
it is.
alas, it's kind of a shame. Yes, Charlie, out of the gate, we did hit 59K. My goal, y'all, even though there is only 2 weeks left of the year, is to maybe hit 60K. Holy smokes, that would be wild. But of course, there is no. I will not be disappointed regardless, because even hitting 50K, as you guys know, has been my goal for the past several years. Also, disclaimer, if both of our voices are hoarse, because I haven't heard you talk today.
No, I'm pretty.
You sound a little bit.
A little hoarse, but a little
um,
hoarse.
we were in attendance at the 125th meetup of Army versus Navy this weekend in Washington, D.C., and we were screaming our voice boxes out. Unfortunately, we lost, sadly. Go Army, beat Navy, not this year, unfortunately. But that is all
Yeah.
right. We'll get them maybe next time, but it was worth it. It was a great time. So, welcome everybody who is here. Let's do a little chat check in. We had Emery's, Mark, Stanley's, Charlie, Jason Olson, Sean, who was up here in the early gang. As always, Sean is up in here holding down the fort. Matthew Tarpley is here. Daddy Josh was up in the pregame. Jerry was
Whole
up.
gang.
Alice. Yeah, the pregame folks are always usually holding down the fort. Bird Church made an appearance. Won't be able to join, but we'll definitely catch up on it. Oh, thank you, Bird Church, if you are watching in the aftermath, in the replay. But welcome. Yes. Conjuring 2 would help. Funny you mentioned that, Charlie. I might have just uploaded it this afternoon, and it should maybe go live. My Skeleton Crew reaction will probably go up tomorrow, unless I posted it like 1 o'clock a.m. tonight like I did last week. So you know what? It may go up tomorrow, my Conjuring 2 reaction, which I did not realize is a Christmas movie, folks. So it was very fitting. It was very fitting. I was a little bit
Mm,
concerned. But let's just say, yeah, talking about losing your voice, I had it coming for that one. I am shocked this microphone is still working. Let's put it that way. I tested its limits. So yes, we have a fun one today, folks. I was scrambling for a theme, didn't exactly know what to do. Didn't know if we wanted to discuss Skeleton Crew, which of course the fourth episode comes out tonight in one
yeah.
hour, but I realized after it hit me that this would most likely be our final episode, our final Dork Discourse stream for this year, that we should maybe do a little year in review. I know a few weeks ago in November we talked about what we would be excited to see on the docket coming up for television shows in 2025. There's so much exciting stuff to come, but I realized upon some recollection that there was so much this year. When you think about it, I can't believe how quickly it's flown by, but then, yeah, when you recap to March and think about the Netflix release of Avatar: The Last Airbender, the live action rendition, that feels like an eternity ago. That feels like a lifetime ago. As does Tales of the Jedi, as does the final season of The Bad Batch. That was this year, correct? It all
Yes,
bleeds together
it
after a
was.
certain point. So much ground that we covered this year. Lots to discuss.
Acolyte.
Acolyte, yes, Star Wars, in hindsight, if you think about it, we had a lot dropping this year. The final season of Bad Batch, Acolyte, Tales of the Empire, the Lego Star Wars, Halloween. No, was that Halloween? Was that a Halloween special?
I think so.
When did that come out?
I think it
Yes,
was.
Rebuild the Galaxy. And now we're in the thick of it with a Skeleton Crew. We had House of the Dragon, we had Penguin, we had Rings of Power, we had quite a lot of nerdy shiz going down this year, and so much more still to come next year. Well, actually, maybe not, because Rings of Power and House of the Dragon are in sync. They're usually on a similar release schedule, so
Hmm.
those two we're probably not gonna get until
Did you say penguin?
I did say Penguin,
Okay.
yes. I didn't mention Dune yet, y'all, because if I'm being 1,000% honest, I still have not finished the past 2 weeks worth of episodes. And I know that's on me, but I can't deny that that's reflective of the fact that my tardiness when it comes to watching the show perhaps is indicative of how I feel about it. But I'm hoping I have to catch up on 2 episodes, and then this weekend is the finale. So hopefully I'll have better things to say. I would like to maybe do a review of that show once it's concluded, since I didn't do any reactions to it or anything. Which in hindsight, I don't know. I'm really hoping that it takes a turn. I did inform you guys that the 3rd episode actually really piqued my interest and got me excited. That was probably my favorite episode of the show so far. So that was a good turn in the right direction. So hopefully the next 2 that I've just been procrastinating on watching, admittedly not because I dislike the show, but because I've just been freaking busy. Hopefully the next 2 episodes, 4 and 5, are equally exciting and riveting. Could you please stop fumbling around so I can see the chat this time?
I'm trying to get it back.
Don't hide it. Do not hide it, because I hid Lumia once and then I couldn't find it. Here, all you gotta do is this. All you gotta do is this. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
But still.
Tom is a PC, or not a Mac.
What?
What?
Where'd it go?
Okay, normally I know you tell me, okay, now you're just opening apps that don't need to be. No. What are you doing? Anyways, folks, sorry, we're troubleshooting in the background. Are there any British TV shows that you would like to react to?
Oh.
Throw out some. I know somebody
Any
just
British?
mentioned Peaky Blinders. That's a British show, yes. If that movie's coming out next year, then let's freaking get it. Let's freaking go. 2025 is going to be electric. If the culmination Peaky Blinders film is in the pipeline, holy smokes. I'm so excited because I feel like for the longest time that remained unconfirmed. It was in the ether as a rumor and it wasn't concrete. So hopefully that will be the case coming up next year. Admittedly, Shogun is a show that I knew a lot of you guys were going to be shouting out that I still have to freaking watch. That's probably like a highlight show from this year that I've been equally tardy with. The problem was I tried to start watching it with you and Tom couldn't commit, and then I've just been on the back burner thinking about, well, maybe I'll wait for him. And no, that's not going to happen. So I have to just leave you in the dust. Anyways, lots to discuss. We're going to talk about the highs, the lows. Blue Winter is here. Welcome. Jason has also joined. Daddy Josh popped back in. Yes, Tom is really doing behind the scenes shenanigans and is throwing me off.
I'm not doing any shenanigans.
Kierderf is here. Hello, wonderful reactions. Well, thank you so much for watching. And sweet Superman emoji. I just saw somebody tagged me. I think a trailer just dropped. No? For the new Superman film?
Superman?
I think so. Admittedly, that is one franchise that maybe we'll tackle in 2025. I am so very green to the DC universe. I'm such a novice. I've never seen Justice League. I've never seen Batman vs. Superman. I've not seen like any of those movies, and I think it would make for some good reactions, since I think people feel very passionately about that franchise. I don't know. We'll see. So that could be in store next year. But yes, just wanted to review, since that we covered quite a lot of ground of television this year. Discuss our favorites, perhaps some...
Did we say Avatar?
We did.
The background of the stream?
I did a whole spiel about Avatar. You just weren't listening because you've been doing your troubleshooting shenanigans over here, and it's been distracting. You always say not to draw attention to it, but this time I can't see.
No, you can see. You can see just fine.
And now I can.
And I think it was Sean. Sean, go ahead and try the Aqua command again. See if you can get the Aqua lights.
Yes,
to match the ice.
That is what Tom has been trying to finesse.
See if it works now if you send it again.
Just watched the Dark Knight films for the first time ever. Mark, was that your first time? Talk about a franchise, a series that I would love to rewatch again for the first time. But yes, I did speak about Avatar. Unfortunately for me, that's gonna have to go in.
Excellent.
Yay!
Excellent. Thank you, Sean.
Success. We have light. For me, as you guys have known, and I hope that this changes come the next season, which most likely would come out 2026 as well, probably. That's the one thing about all the shows we're talking about now. Why are you not sitting in the main chair? It's your channel. Because we have to invest in a second gaming chair.
No, it's because it's tight real estate and the desk comes out, so you she wants to be on the left. This chair doesn't fit on the left.
Because this is my better side.
So,
So
that's the real reason.
even though I react from this side, I don't know.
But you're right, Curter. She should have the main chair.
We're gonna invest in a second gaming chair, and eventually we'll be equal. But for me, rather unfortunately, the Avatar series is maybe on the lower side of my list. My expectation high, my excitement super high, the hype for that show. I wish I could relive it. You know, the first few months of this year, it was a real exciting way to kick off this year. But in hindsight, when I look back on it, after some passage of time and once the rose-colored glasses have come off, I feel differently. David Hess, welcome. I enjoy watching your reactions. Well, thank you. And was wondering, have you ever watched The Walking Dead? No, I have not. And I have had that on my list of things I need to react to for the past, several years. So maybe we'll put that on the 2025 list of things to check out, because especially actually, it would be fun to watch that coinciding with The Last of Us. I believe The Last of Us season 2 comes out next year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I watched The Last of Us first season, I really wanted to get into The Walking Dead to kind of coincide with it, or rather to fill the void between The Last of Us. And I know there's plenty of filling that The Walking Dead can do, since it's 14 seasons, so I might commit to a few, and then I've heard mixed opinion about where it goes from there. But are we talking about the next Avatar movie or the show? This is the show, Daddy Josh, the live-action rendition on Netflix. My voice is a lot more hoarse than I thought it was, friends, so apologies for that. But yes, I don't know. How do you feel? Because I know I've gone off about... I don't know. I think you might have liked it more than... Or did you? No, because
Avatar?
They diverted and kind of deviated from one of your most anticipated elements of that show. One of your favorite moments in the animated series.
Yeah, that's the biggest reason why there's a little feeling of disappointment with the Roku arc, and Roku was turned into a slapstick comic, which is totally not who he is in the TV show, the original TV show. So that's the biggest change that I didn't necessarily appreciate. I think the new things that they did, like the stuff that they added, they did really, really well, and it was really, really cool to see, and they did a really good job. But some of the middle few episodes where they just kind of jam a bunch of the TV show stuff into one and just intermix a lot of it, that stuff didn't hit so much. But the beginning few and then the ending at the Northern Water Tribe, I think they did really, really well. So
you make a good point. It's kind of sandwiched between its stronger elements. The opening of the show I thought was great. In hindsight, one thing I really grapple with was the show's decision to, in an effort to perhaps appeal to new audiences, appeal to older, more mature audiences as well. You know, it had not only the task of, winning the approval of the existing fan base, but also drawing in new viewership, which I think it did. I think it was successful in that. But one element that they added and tapped more into that I can't help but feel like I still don't know where I stand was, and I know you were a fan of this, they really dialed up the violence and the brutality and the absolute tragedy.
They did.
The catastrophic downfall of the Air Nation that you don't get in the show. And you only have to imagine how tragic it could have been through Aang's, perspective of it. And it's kind of this, empty void in the show. They withhold that from you, and you only know the aftermath, and your brain has to kind of piece together how god-awful it must have actually been. Versus the Netflix rendition shows you how god-awful it was. But that was something that you actually enjoyed. That they added. That I don't know if I don't know. But you're right. I think the opening of the show is amazing. And the finale was really good. That's maybe one thing I regret, that I fell through with my reactions to that show. As I've told you guys a number of times, I just could not bring myself to keep doing those reactions. I don't know why, other than I can't explain. Maybe it was because I just didn't enjoy the show as much as I thought I did at the time. Or it was also largely in part due to the Netflix release model, in which all 8 episodes dropped at once, and I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't keep doing that. I was drained. So perhaps that soured things for me as well. I don't know, but the finale I do think was amazing, and I have very high hopes for the second season, especially since they were able to put the first one out there, get it out into the fan base, receive some, critiques, feedback. People really were vocal about it online. It was trending massively, so that's a good sign that a lot of people watched it and were contributing to the discourse about it. So hopefully they can pick up on some of that. So yes, Emery's is commenting in regard to the Netflix series. They're slowing down the training and the romance because there's no time limit for the comet. Fair, yes.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
Relationship between Aang and I almost just said Korra, sweet lord, Aang and Katara.
Close.
Certain elements, they weren't tapping into so much. So we'll see if they ramp those up in the second season. Jay has joined. Welcome. Jared Mix7982 has joined. Roth is here. Let's go.
Jared Roth, what's going on?
You were able to say that. That's like a
J.J.
tongue
Roth.
twister.
Jared Roth. What's up, Jared Roth?
Another series. I guess I'm going to start with my least faves. Maybe that's what I'm doing because I don't like to be critical, as you guys know. And my least faves out of all of these, I do not have disdain or hatred for any of the shows that we are going to address tonight. These are the highlights, of course, but all of these still count as highlights for me to some degree. So just because, some of these are maybe lower on my ranking of content that we got from this year, that does not mean that y'all know me. It takes a lot for me to not like something. I don't think I've ever not liked something that we watched on here.
No.
So, but for me, in hindsight, House of the Dragon season 2 wasn't too big of a...
Yeah, there's a one-line meme that describes it. Season 1 ended with the war beginning, and season 2 ended with the war beginning. With a couple main events that happened. Season 2 didn't further the plot as far as they thought it would after the way season 1 ended. I think you're definitely not alone in that opinion, that it was House of the Dialogue is another meme to describe it.
But listen, there's one thing about Game of Thrones is some of their best, most dramatic, intense moments where you're on the edge of your seat can be distilled down to the dialogue. But yes, coming off of what season 1 poised this second season to be, the absolute vengeance and rage in Rhaenyra's eyes as she looks you dead through the camera to finish out season 1. And then season 2 begins and ends, and literally up until the last moment, she's kind of prancing around the inevitable truth of, I have to enact war. I have to lock in and take names and draw blood. That was perhaps maybe the most frustrating for me as a Team Rhaenyra stan, as a Team Black member, ride or die till the end.
Yeah, well, the other half of that, Mr. Damon was off just hallucinating in that other castle for the whole season.
Harrenhal.
Yeah, so it's like he was the most violent, like, personally my favorite character from season 1, just because of how out of pocket he is and ruthless he is. But he didn't do anything. He was battling mental demons the whole second season. So
I know, he was a power player. He was our biggest contender and they nerfed him. Which I'm curious, because as you guys know, and we'll come to see soon, I have to film my review still, but I finally finished reading Fire and Blood, which I originally bought immediately after season 1 finished, and here I am 2 years later. But once I got started with it, I couldn't put it down. And I am curious about some of the character deviations that they've decided to pursue and create some new internal conflicts for certain characters who wouldn't be doing some of those things in the book. Daemon, I think, especially, I'm confused as to why they chose to deplete him mentally and go down this route of betrayal, temptation of betrayal for him, and the arrogance and his ego, and insisting that everybody refer to him as the king while he's prancing around Harrenhal hallucinating. My assessment of Daemon in the book is he never would have done that.
Yeah.
Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, my mom.
Hi, Anna, if you're watching.
My mom is, I guess, watching with one of our little family members, and Kiki is my nickname. Because when this family member couldn't speak, originally was learning to speak, Catherine's very hard
She's your niece. You can.
I don't know. I keep my family stuff private.
It's
Some
not,
of that
she's
private.
not a dog.
She's
not a
not. She's
cat.
not.
She's not a gerbil.
But it's my
She's a niece.
nickname since Cat. You guys know me as Cat. People in my family call me Kitty Cat sometimes. So we tried to get them to say Kitty instead of Catherine, because that's obviously a very difficult name for a child to pronounce. And Kitty turned into Kiki, so that is my name amongst my family. Now you're all in on it, so that's exciting that they are watching live.
Yeah.
Don't go calling me Kiki now, y'all. Sal is here. Let's go. Welcome, Sal. Welcome. Oh God, she's instructing my
I'm
mom.
not a dog. She said. See, you're treating her like she's a pet.
Baby on board. No. Don't worry, y'all. If there was a baby on board, there technically is one. There's a baby watching via the chat. Kitty Cat, yes, that's my nickname in my family.
Just your mom.
My aunt. People call me Kitty Cat.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So whenever sometimes people in the comment section call me Kitty Cat. And I'm like, are you on one of my aunt's burner accounts? It takes me back, but I kind of like it because it's like a personal, it hits me. So I'm like, is that you? So yes, lots of family has joined the party, especially special family members have joined the party. So welcome to them. Kit Kat, yes. Nathan, yes. What did I miss? Sal, we're just diving into our favorites, our highs and lows of television from 2024.
Yes. And Matthew mentioned a little bit ago, what did Matthew say? Matthew said, let me find it. Matthew said, I regret how the Acolyte was torn to shreds online.
Yes, Matthew.
And we can transition into discussing the Acolyte, because I think both you and I are in agreement there, where we both were on the side of the Acolyte was actually great. And we're confused as to how there's so much hate around it. And we are very, very upset that they had already very quickly canceled any future seasons, because the way they set it, the foundation for season 2 was incredibly awesome premise of a season 2, and we're not going to get it, which is very upsetting.
I would like to clarify that I am not confused as to why some people might have disliked the show. Just like with any of the Star Wars live action shows, there are people who love them and people who don't enjoy them, and I see all the reasons why people had valid reasons to not enjoy the show. The unnecessary, unwarranted hate campaign that was incited as soon as the cast list was announced is an entirely different thing that unfortunately soured the entire experience. Yes, to the point that we were all tearing each other apart, tearing each other to smithereens over that show, the discourse, online. So it is a shame in hindsight, because I really loved that show and agree it could have had so much potential. People are still petitioning to have it renewed, still fighting to have it. Every other day on Twitter I see a new person chime into the conversation and say, I finally watched this show and I have no idea why it was such a firestorm. Like, for people looking on the outside in who aren't avid Star Wars sweaties and they were watching the conversation about that show, I'm sure it piqued a lot of people's interest to get them to be like, all right, frick it, I'll watch it just to see what all the buzz is about. And I see so many people show the same, express the same confusion. I don't understand what all the hullabaloo was. Is that a word?
Yeah,
Did I
it
just
is.
make
That's
that
a
up?
word. Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's just how it is. But yeah, I mean, a lot of people when it was coming out, all the press on more so social media was all just negative around the show. And so if someone is just wondering, oh, should I start watching this? And majority of what they see is negative, then it's like, no, well, why should I? But I mean, for everyone watching here, and probably everyone watching here, and us, I mean, anything that Star Wars puts out, we're gonna watch the whole thing regardless of what the majority opinion is at that time. For cases exactly like this, where we both really, really enjoy the Acolyte, and I think that the Acolyte is, I think, at the top of my list of shows that have come out this year for sure. It is definitely near the top of all of the Disney Plus Star Wars shows for me. It hurts now a little more just because I know it's one and done and it's over. So it's like, okay, am I enjoying it less now because I know that it's doomed and we're not going to get the full story? A little bit. Versus other shows where we know we're going to continue, like Ahsoka and Andor. I mean, Ahsoka season 2 is really, really exciting, and Mandalorian and Grogu movie is really, really exciting.
I think one lesson to come out of this has been, though, and I've seen a lot of people advocate for this with Star Wars specifically, which is that Star Wars is, once it's out there, it's part of the timeline. It's part of the canon. So if you're going to introduce new lore, new characters, a new story that is going to have significant weight in the Star Wars universe, let's start doing what Tony Gilroy did with Andor. Secure your 2 seasons so that you can tell your full story, so that it's not left hanging. I think every show going forward for Star Wars, have the story, have whatever story you want to tell that is going to be cemented into the Star Wars lore, and make sure it's the final full thing. I think that should be the standard going forward, and hopefully that can be a lesson from all of this. Because as I said, people are still up in arms that it hasn't been renewed. People are still championing it. It does deserve a second season, says Blue Winter, but I know other people in here have been voicing that they disliked it, which is perfectly fine.
Well, Blue Winter even said, I enjoyed the premise, but the writing could have been better.
That's fair. But I agree that, and I acknowledge, I have done a lot of deep diving into people's genuine gripes with the show, and I know the writing repeatedly comes up, and I know that character motivation is a huge thing for a lot of people, and I think the fact that it ends on a cliffhanger for me, I personally, if you know that you are not necessarily granted a second season, if you know that there's no certainty in that, for Star Wars, don't leave it hanging like that. Yeah. It's fun a little bit because then we can theorize. Now we just have to theorize about.
Nope.
But especially if you're going to introduce, a character as significant as Darth Plagueis, don't leave that hanging.
No, you can't.
Tie that up. Do something with that.
You can't.
We saw Plagueis and now he's gone.
If it was a random Sith or random character that we had no idea who it was, that's totally different. You can't give us the live action debut of the most legendary Sith that we've never seen on screen before, or in animation, or ever. We've never seen him ever. And you're going to give it to us, creeping around the wall corner, and that's it? No.
He deserves more than those 5 seconds.
He does. That is blasphemous that you're going to set that foundation and then not greenlight the story through the end. Nope. That's right, Daddy Josh. No, that's like, did Plagueis dirty? They did. It's like, you can't, like, that is just way too, like, the only reason he was in there was to, as a final plea, to have Disney greenlight a second season. Like, if you're going to put him in there and have him actually do something that makes him worth the appearance in that season, especially if you don't know that there's going to be a second season where you can flesh it out even more.
That's what I'm suggesting. That's what I think I'm advocating for now. If you know you're not getting a second season, or if that's up in the air, if you do not have 100% certainty, then don't tease that.
Yeah.
My personal opinion. Was it sick? Yes, but I think that character deserves more than just those 5 seconds that are now just hanging in eternity with no concrete,
Nathan goes, I guess you could call it a tragedy.
It was! But hopefully...
Did you ever hear?
Hopefully seeing the audience reception, to his cameo, will hopefully, inspire future appearances from him, or spark a realization that that's a huge, widely demanded character that we would like to see more of in the fan base. So I think for me, the lesson with Acolyte is, as divisive as it was, I think hopefully going forward it will serve as a learning milestone for, Disney Plus and Star Wars moving forward, and writers, everyone involved, all the creators and showrunners and whatnot, but for Disney in general. Greenlight shows like what Tony Gilroy has done, secure the full story. Otherwise, don't leave me hanging. Yeah. Don't leave it out in the ether. Don't leave Plagueis out in the ether. This is not criticizing,
Not even Plagueis, but also the Grand Master of the Jedi Order, who one of the biggest lore concerns with the show is, okay, why is Venestra sweeping all this stuff under the rug and Jedi are getting killed and she's hiding it from the Grand Council, aka Yoda, and then she's finally going to confess, and we're finally going to see what Yoda has to say about it, and how we end up in the prequel trilogy where seemingly the Sith have not returned, and Yoda and Mace Windu are trying to figure out if this really could be the Sith, and Qui-Gon's trying to figure out if this could be the Sith. How do we get from Vernestra confessing, or whatever she says to Yoda, like, whatever she says to Yoda is a huge deal with how Yoda is perceived in the prequel trilogy. And what they're setting it up is that if she comes clean with Yoda and Yoda sweeps it under the rug, then you think of Yoda in one way for the rest of the Star Wars saga. If she just lies to him and says, hey, these Jedi died, this is why, and there's no inclination or anything mentioned of the dark side or Jedi, and it was all Soul, and Soul went rogue, and now Soul is dead, then if she runs with that story and tells that to Yoda, then that's completely different. But, like, if this was going to be a one and done season, give us that Yoda tie-in in the season, not just a tease of what it would actually be. And then also, the same with Plagueis, instead of just a tease at the end. But they didn't. They left it to be up to the will of a season 2, and we're not getting it. And it tarnishes the ending of the first season.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Because now we're just sitting here angry.
We are eternally theorizing, but...
and stuck in an infinite loop of theory. And that's not where anyone wants to be. Just like movie that I watched on the plane yesterday.
Oh, we're not getting into that. Stop. We don't have time for that. We don't have time for that. Mithrandir, thank you for being here. Sick username, by the way. Makes a really good point. Valid. Why would they think that the show was renewed from the moment that they were recording it? They made that ending being optimistic, but they were not expecting the response that they got from the audience. Entirely fair. And I always say and advocate that I think every writer who comes into Star Wars and is granted the torch of being able to tell a Star Wars story deserves to tell whatever they want, because Star Wars is different for everyone, means something different for everyone. If you hear Leslie Headland speaks, she absolutely loves the Star Wars galaxy and is extremely passionate about the Acolyte, the story, being able to contribute to Star Wars in this way. And so I believe that and hope that for every writer who gets to work on Star Wars, they should be able to tell whatever story they want going forward. I'm simply advocating for more showrunners to do exactly what Tony Gilroy has done, which is secure multiple seasons. That way you can truly flesh out your story to be exactly what you want it to be from start to finish. So that's all I'm saying. But I totally agree that they could not have anticipated, nor, I think as it came out and the news was pretty solidified that it was not going to be renewed. I think many of the cast and crew members made it known that they were, shocked and upset by that. But
yeah, I mean, they took a gamble. They took a gamble, and they lost.
that's a good point, though. That's what I'm
was.
saying. When
So-
you secure and greenlight a show for only one season, leave the story open-ended without the certainty that it's going to have some renewal to be able to finish it. This is all presumptuous, because who's to say? Leslie Headland can be like, no, that's the full story I wanted to tell, and I wanted it to end off, ambiguous like that for people to theorize. If that's her goal this whole time, then success, because we are left in this purgatory of having to theorize. So this could be void, depending on whether that was the full story she wanted to tell, or if she had more in store. Do I believe she had more in store? 1,000%. But my point is, taking that gamble, I don't think Star Wars can afford to do that anymore when it comes to, the fan base and whatnot. But we shall see, going forward.
Yeah. Julia made another good point where they could give us another Plagueis tie-in, just not in the Acolyte.
Different. No, I think they will.
Plagueis. Like, if this show is the realization that, okay, this is Plagueis is here and this is what he's up to, and then if they come back to him later, maybe closer to the Phantom Menace, with Palpatine getting involved, and there's a throwaway line about, oh, my last apprentice, I had 2 of them and then they killed each other, or I killed them both, or whatever, then you're like, oh, well, we know where they were at the end of the Acolyte, and then Plagueis did away with them. Like, that could be totally, that could totally happen. And then they could give us a Plagueis story with Palpatine and closer to the Phantom Menace time frame, which would be very, very cool.
I like Patrick's suggestion here. You're open to making up your own endings, ? Which is honestly so much of the fun of Star Wars. Yes, theorizing, and, if we never get that continuation of that story and we are left to theorize and come up for, on our own, how do we get from point A to point B with Chimera and Osha now, knowing that Plagueis is lurking? What could possibly happen to them? How do we get from them to Sheev? So, it's I'm not saying it's not fun to theorize, because Lord knows that's exactly what Star Wars fans were born to do. That's how we operate. That's part of the gig, part of the job. But for a character as pivotal as Darth Vegas, Darth Vegas. Jesus. Darth Plagueis.
Vegas.
Can you tell y'all that we were just in Viva Las Vegas?
The master
For a character
of the roulette table.
as pivotal as he is to the lore, I do believe that he will get picked up in something else, perhaps. Yep. Speaking of...
the king of blackjack.
It could be interesting, to see... Well, I don't know. I think people would demand to see him in a live-action setting, because he looks darn good in live action. But I think it could be interesting to see, I don't know, perhaps animation. I just want more freaking Star Wars animation, y'all. This is my effort to segue into, we had Bad Batch series finale and Tales of the Empire, but amongst those two, following all that, we don't really have any continuation or confirmation of what the frick's gonna happen with animation in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Which makes me nervous. Which makes me sad.
Wasn't speaking of shows in this year, wasn't the Tales of the Empire this year too?
It was, yes.
Was that this year?
Yep, yeah.
That was pretty good too.
So we could have Tales of the Sith. I think that's what people thought was going to be the next installment following Tales of the Jedi. I hope that the Tales of... Do we have confirmation that anthological series is continuing? I hope so.
No.
I hope any Star Wars animation is continuing. Please, Star Wars. I'm putting this into the ether. I'm begging you. Please. We do have Visions of Season 3 confirmed, which is exciting. But give me some more. Give me something else. Please. We don't have... I need something similar to, Bad Batch or Clone Wars or something in that caliber. Not that Visions isn't in that caliber, but it's similarly anthology,
No.
Not even necessarily Tales of the Womp Rats, says Nathan. Tales of the, give us Tales of the Glupshitos. You could do Tales of anything. Like, let's keep it going.
Tales of the Sith is the obvious canon.
Daddy Josh says it's a missed opportunity not making Tales of the Sith. I hope they do that in the future, and I believe that they will.
They should save the Tales of the Sith for a live action piece of media. I think is what they should do. Because we, let's be honest, don't have enough Sith in our live action media.
Well, we had it a little bit.
Disney live action shows, the only one where we've gotten it was Kenobi. And we got some great Sith in that with Vader. But Andor, nothing yet. Ahsoka, no real Sith. I mean, we've got some Balin and some Shin that are on the edge doing something, whatever they're doing. But not like main villain, kind of like Inquisitor level material of character. Mandalorian, nope, nothing.
Yet.
Yes, correct.
Is there potential? I don't think
Yes.
so, but
Boba Fett, nope. What else have we got?
well, we had it with the
Is that it?
Acolyte.
Yeah,
We had some
but the
major
Acolyte.
Sithness there.
Yeah,
But
so the Acolyte was the one where we got plenty of, I mean, Chimere, we don't know, but he's in leagues with Plagueis, now we know. And I mean, that choreography was the choreography and the camera work around and the direction of the fight scenes was incredible. I think it's the best of any of the Disney Plus shows we've gotten. And I've never seen anyone actually disagree with that point, saying that
Love
the
it or hate it.
choreography and the cinematography around the fight scenes, I've never seen a single negative review of that. And I'm being completely honest. If someone feels that way, chime in, because I'd actually be very curious to see if anyone does feel that way, because I know there's a handful of people who are not fans of the show. But even in Kenobi, like Kenobi, the like some of the critiques are with the shaky cam and super zoomed in on them fighting. You don't really get like the traditional prequel wide shots where you see the full body movement and the full choreography of the fight scenes. In the Kenobi series, it's very, very close camera work. And even in Ahsoka, it's very close kind of camera work for the most part for a lot of Ahsoka's fights. When it was Anakin and Ahsoka in the World Between Worlds, it was a little further out because, I mean, you've got Hayden Christensen, who's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, swinger of a lightsaber in Star Wars history. Sure, you and Ray Park might have something to say about that, but I mean, Hayden certainly has the most reps. And Battle at the End of Revenge of the Sith is, cream of the crop there. But the Acolyte, they were getting after it with the saber work and the cinematography and the camera work, so you could see the entire fight. You could see the whole scope. You could see all the little minute body movements and saber movements and everything, and it was awesome.
All
So
right.
Sith live action show or standalone movie or trilogy, something.
well, speaking of,
Please.
I wanted to address your comment earlier, Julian, but Tom's been out here spitting facts. Julian earlier said that we need a darker Star Wars Tales of the Sith. Yes, and now thank you, Julian, for your membership for
Yes.
35 months. We need a darker Star Wars Tales of the Sith. I do agree, which could take place 1,000 years before Anakin. Ooh, I also agree. Something before the rule of two Sith. I also agree. I am a big fan, majorly in favor of continuing to do what Acolyte has done and push it even further. Like, just get the frick away into the past, distant future, wherever you go. Give it a 1,000-year buffer.
Yeah, they could do a movie trilogy about the creation of the Rule of Two. Back to the Old Republic, where there's as many Sith as there are Jedi.
Oh god.
They're all slaughtering each other. You got massive battles where it's just a ton of Jedi versus a ton of Sith. And then eventually Darth Bane is like, all right, we're not going to survive this way. There's too many egos. There's only two. And the two are going to be they're going to have the same power level as the thousands, but it's just the two. Like, that would be insane. That would be an awesome live action, like quintessential Star Wars big screen project you could do. The creation of the Rule 2.
That'd be wild.
You're totally right. You totally could do it. You could totally do it. And it would be awesome.
Yeah. I do like what Stanley said earlier, that a Tales of the Sith series could complete Plagueis' storyline. I agree with that as well. I think now that they've introduced him and seen the, again, widely positive reception to him and his brief appearance, he had 5 seconds of screen time and it was all anyone could talk about for weeks. I think they've hopefully seen what a full-fledged Plagueis appearance or series or centered project could do. Why does it feel like I'm talking to myself? You're not. I swear we see your chats, Kierderf. We just go on tangents a lot here.
There's a lot of chats.
We go on many a tangent here. I'm not gushing over Skeleton Crew, but I do hope that we get more seasons of this show, or at least let John Watts do a Hondo series or something with pirates, because I love me some space pirates, says Sal. No, that is fair, and I think, Skeleton Crew, we'll see how it ends. I would certainly love to see. I'm excited to see the rest of the series, depending on how it ends. We'll see what happens going forward, but in terms of my enjoyment of the show, I'm having a great time. It drops in T-minus 14 minutes, the next episode, so to finish out the night, favorite television project of 2024, go.
Acolyte.
Really? I knew you were going to say that.
The second, Penguin.
I was going to say...
Second is probably Penguin. You don't
have to do top 3. You could do top 2.
I'd probably go Acolyte and Penguin. If we were getting a second season of the Acolyte, then Acolyte would be clear number 1 for me. Since it's the disappointment of not getting it, not continuing the story directly in the Acolyte is a little bit of a downer. But the Penguin was incredible. Penguin was great. Penguin was awesome. Totally exceeded all expectations, but expectations were relatively low going into it. So it's like, well, all right.
Not that expectations were low, but I think just our general interest was like, sure, we'll watch it.
Yeah, we're gonna watch it.
And
but
then it turned into dang.
It ended up being really, really good. So.
Oh shoot! Percy Jackson also happened this year,
Percy
Sean.
Jackson, yeah.
When the frick did that happen? Was that earlier this year? I guess.
Yeah.
Oh my god! What a
while,
fun show! We could potentially be getting the next season of that next year. That was a really good time. Honestly, it's equivalent. Watching that show is really how I feel watching Skeleton Crew. It was just a good time. There's something enjoyable about being able to watch a show that is led by younger actors, where the protagonists are children, but they can still nail it in a way that's appealing for mature audiences. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm watching a kids show. It's like, nah, this kids show's sick. Yeah. As I feel about, what they were able to capture with the animated, Avatar: The Last Airbender. That is more than just a kids show. I don't even say that anymore because it sounds like a demeaning way to label it, but degrading way to put it.
Well, I might have to change, because Rings of Power.
I was gonna say
Season 2.
Rings of Power might be my favorite. We didn't talk about it at all.
But
that
Rings of Power was also really, really good.
I think it's my favorite.
Rings of Power Season 2 is really, really good.
Penguins.
The ending was a little bit.
How?
I was left wanting a little more with the ending of Rings of Power.
Okay, fair.
Because the second to last episode was, just one of the greatest TV episodes of anything ever. I think that's how we both feel about that.
Oh yeah.
The second to last episode.
It was like a movie.
And it set, it totally was. It set it up for this climactic reveal and battle, and Sauron totally taking over, and then he just kind of slips away again. So the fact that he just kind of slipped away left me a little wanting more, but we know we're going to get it eventually.
Yeah, he's taken a little bit of a loss. He's not necessarily coming out on top. I mean, he's always on top, but he's a little depleted right now.
So
he's been bruised.
Yeah, Acolyte, Penguin, Rings of Power. Because just the Acolyte, just like Rings of Power, had incredible. Episode 5 of the Acolyte and the ending, I thought, was really well done, except for the fact that we're not getting season 2. I like the ending of the Acolyte, I think, more than the ending of Rings of Power. Penguin all around was pretty consistently good.
Start to finish.
Start
banger.
to finish.
And allegedly, they're already discussing a season 2 for that. Allegedly,
Yeah.
don't misconstrue that, folks. Take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I did like 1 second of research today, whilst getting pictures literally just for my thumbnail, and I came across an article that said season 2 may be in talks. So yeah, I think Penguin. Maybe it's tough because I'm not a diehard Batman fan the way I am with Lord of the Rings, with Star Wars.
Yeah.
So perhaps that's why my brain is thinking like Rings of Power. That's for me my number one because it exceeded my expectations. It was so enjoyable. It's exactly the direction I want the show to be going. Had tapped into the darkness. Character development with Galadriel, Elrond, frickin' Sauron. Enough said. Yes, Celebrimbor, so much great stuff, week after week.
What's his name?
Adar.
Oh, hell. Do you swear your allegiance to Adar?
Adar, yes. Adar.
Tom's favorite.
Love Adar.
So, yes. And of course we know, I think recently it just got confirmed, season 3. But we know that show's probably going to, achieve all 5 seasons that it has set out to fulfill. But
Amazon's committed.
Yeah, well, they're paying the big bucks for it. So I think for me, Rings of Power just exceeded my expectations. It was so amazing. Really enjoyed it. We know where it's gonna keep. We know it's gonna keep going. But for Penguin, like, I think in terms of consistently riveting.
And the ending. I mean, the ending was fantastic. I mean, every episode of the show was stood on its own head.
Yeah.
And there was never really any lulls. It was a straight shot, just like I think with Rings of Power, and Acolyte's probably the least consistent, but it still carried, like, the plot itself.
Yeah, not every
was a
episode
crescendo,
was a banger.
But they're also shorter than the Penguin.
I know, and that's
Rings of
unfortunately
Power.
one thing that just you can't compare. We get 35-minute episodes in Star Wars, which is fine, but when Rings of Power's coming out here with like an hour and 20 minutes long and they feel like a feature film, it's really tough to ignore that it doesn't hurt. Penguin, I think the episodes were at least... Okay, I need to watch Penguin, says Daddy Josh. You must. I cannot stress this enough. I went into this show not having zero interest, but I think I speak for many of us when it was like general public perception was like, okay, sure, we'll take a spin-off show because the Batman, the film, was incredible. So it was like, fill the void, whatever we possibly can. Not that I was the biggest Penguin or Batman fan by any means, but it was like, I went from being like, I'll watch it, whatever, to we're going to sit down, shut up, and be locked in at 6 p.m. every Sunday night for this freaking show because it was so good. And like, I'm a major freaking Dune fan going into that show with a much more vested interest. And here I just confessed to you guys I'm 2 weeks behind because I can't bring myself to watch it. To be like the Penguin where I was like, okay, fine, sure, like I was mid about it, just neutral, to I was freaking locked in. I think that says a lot. And the way the public reception was super, as you've seen. I'm shocked, Daddy Josh, that you're saying, I haven't heard anyone speak on Penguin that has disliked it. Literally.
Neither have we.
Literally, I don't think I saw one questionable review. Was it IGN that got absolutely...
Did they
Who published like a really scathing review and they just got bombarded? Don't quote me on that, I could be misspeaking.
I don't know.
Alice is popping in. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. I was here for the pregame. Forgot to come back for the real thing. Don't worry, Alice. We know you're always there, Queen. And you're always holding it down in the pregame. We love you for that. Thank you for being here for the last few minutes before we pop off for Skeleton Crew episode 4. there's a bit more action in these last 2 episodes on Dune Prophecy. Thank you, Stanley. He's given me something
Nice.
to cling to. I hope so. Like I said, I really enjoyed episode 3, so I don't know what my holdup is that I haven't gotten to the next 2, but I'm saving myself to binge the final half of this season here, since we have 1 left. We will riot if Colin Farrell doesn't win the Emmy for Penguin. All I can think of as his competition is Billy Bob Thornton for Landman. Same goes for Kristen, y'all. Sophia Falcone, freaking queen.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes, very much well deserved. So hopefully, but yeah, goes to show that show's getting its love in the award season run that we are embarking on. I didn't see much from Rings of Power. I feel like Rings of Power got a little bit. I have to go up and look at the full list of nominees, but I don't think any Rings of Power actors received nominations. Don't quote me on that. I have to check, but I just know that Penguin cleaned up a little bit, at least for Colin and Kristen. So, yeah.
So we've talked about TV.
We have
but what about
4
just
minutes left.
favorite? I know. What about just favorite entertainment highlights? Movies, standout game, anything else of any other medium? I'm trying to think what movies we saw this year
Dune
that came out.
2.
Oh yeah, Dune 2. Dune 2 came out.
I think for me, the biggest highlight of film this year was being able to go see re-releases such as
There's one.
Phantom Menace and Interstellar.
Yes, true. Seeing Phantom Menace in May was awesome. But yeah, I was gonna say Interstellar. If you have the opportunity to go see Interstellar, especially if you, one, have never seen it before, but also if you've never seen it in theaters, it is worth going back and seeing it again in theaters, because Interstellar is a piece of cinema that is unmatched, maybe for the rest of eternity. It's so good.
Yes. Highlight.
I love Interstellar.
I don't know if it's still running, y'all, but if it is,
Oh, is it not running anymore?
it might be. It was for an
Did I just
exclusive.
hype it up for no reason?
Oh no, Sal says hot take. I'm an hour into watching Interstellar.
Sal.
I did incredibly good.
So
To be fair, first time I ever watched that movie, I was brain blasted. Had no idea what the frick I just watched. Couldn't explain it. Couldn't understand it. And I watched it in like 3 parts because I could not get through it in one sitting. But I have come around. I have been turned around. Danny G says I've seen it 3 times now in the theaters for the re-release.
awesome, Danny. Awesome.
Jared, thank you so much for being here. Good night, Kat, Tom, Sean, Charlie, and everyone. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Same to you, Jared. Thank you so much for
Yes.
tuning in for, again, our probably last stream this year. I'm seeing some people complain that we have overlooked the chat. You're not complaining. You're raising valid points. I'm sorry. We do not get to every single message, and I do feel bad because this was our last stream for this year. But as always, we will be back same time, same place in like 3 weeks from now.
There's a lot of chats. It's very difficult to get to
Well, like I
get
said,
to every chat.
we go on tangents here, y'all. We go on some we go off. It was great to see the Phantom Menace in theater. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. I had never seen it Blue Winter, so it was amazing. It was so good. I hope they continue to do that. They should freaking do that with every Star Wars movie. Interstellar is certainly a cerebral movie. But that's what I said with The Godfather, and now it's an all-timer for me. Good point, Sal. Good point. I hope you enjoy it when you finish it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. You just gotta get through it. Just get through it, because the end. I mean, the ending is just. The ending wraps it all together, and it will leave a very lasting impact on you, for sure. Very lasting impact. Yes, chat is popping off. Chats galore. There is always super chat if you would really like your chat to be noticed, because it'll pop up nice on the screen, and it's impossible for anyone to ignore it. So,
All right, but y'all know we don't plug super chats. All right.
well, I'm just saying, chat's popping off. We're never going to be able to get to everything.
It was
so
a fun interactive night. Thank
that's
you
a neat
guys
feature.
so much for your contributions. We'll finish off with a few more. After I watched Interstellar, I found it amazing, but I was still a bit confused. However, there was still lots of understanding within that confusion, if that makes sense. 1000%, because in the spite of all that science and the galactic astronaut stuff, outer space, that my little smooth brain can't comprehend because I am not scientific at all. In the midst of all of that, the through line, the thread that keeps you tethered to it emotionally, is the story of a father fighting to get back to his children, which I can comprehend at the end of the day. So I think that's what makes that movie so strong. Staley's, good night. Thank you for being here. Enjoy Skeleton Crew.
Yes.
Julian, have a Merry Christmas
Enjoy,
and Happy
everybody.
New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Enjoy Skeleton Crew. To all, if you are going to watch, we're going to hop off and go check out episode 4. So this will probably be our conclusion to our final episode of Dork Discourse this year.
Yes.
But you know what? We're ending off on an odd number. So when we come back, y'all, first one out of the gate for 2025 is going to be episode 80.
Oh.
80, y'all.
Nice.
So stay tuned.
That's pretty cool.
Or should we just start a whole new season? Start fresh. Dork Discourse Season 2, Episode 1. No, that's too much to keep track of.
We should not do that.
Shouldn't do that.
Yes, it's the last Dork Discourse stream, but tomorrow, for those game lovers and McBots subscribers and constituents, there's going to be a McBot stream tomorrow night. So so stay tuned for that. I'll post it probably this evening with the time. Probably be around this time tomorrow night. Tyler and I will be hopping on the Magunka. And then maybe another one Thursday, Friday. We shall see. But yeah, so stay tuned for that. McBot stream.
So you can get a little bit more time.
Evening.
But thank you all so very much for watching. Appreciate you guys being here. Have a wonderful holiday, whatever you are selling. An amazing new year. Whatever you are celebrating, not selling. An amazing new year. I will be seeing more of you guys. This will not be the last of me. I have several more reactions to come out and videos for the rest of this year. So stay tuned. I will not be dipping off for real ski on the channel. Just for the streams, since we will be traveling and whatnot and celebrating and spending some time on vacation with family. But until then, till 2025, Dork Discourse is signing off. So we'll catch you guys live again in the new year. But until then, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, 3 a.m., wherever you may be. And we will see you guys again very, very soon.
Happy holidays, everybody. See you later.
See y'all next year.
Enjoy the episode.